Hello and welcome to another weekly update. Going to be quite a short one this week because I've been away all week, been on holiday, so I've done quite a good job of kind of staying off all the news and stuff, bit of a detox, which is totally recommended. I think it's good to do every now and again, but kind of coming back into the thick of things and catching up on what I've missed, and a couple of things to let you know about happened kind of over the week. First, I want to call out a short but excellent blog post by Matt Landis, talking about the Teams calling APIs. Now, talking specifically about their GA date. So, refresh your memory, the Teams calling APIs were announced at Ignite 2018. So not the Ignite that's just happened, but the one before it. So it just happened. It was it was a while ago. It was Build that's just happened. There we go. So the last Ignite. So Ignite happens in the fall. This is me getting my vacation hat off and putting my work hat back on, kind of getting back into the groove of things, so bear with me. We've just had Build, ignore Build. I'm talking about Ignite. The calling APIs were announced into public preview at Ignite 2018, so back end of last year. Since then, there's been no GA date for them. Matt has kind of come across a comment in a GitHub issue, so pretty buried and kind of really good work on his part to kind of dig it out. And in there he notes that the person making the comment works at Microsoft, and who says they are scheduled for GA in the June-July timeframe, and that they're working on finalising the APIs. So that is interesting information to have if you are looking at the preview APIs and you want to use them, but for whatever reason, company policy or like legal reasons or whatever, you can't use them because they're currently in preview. It's good to know that this is coming on the horizon, June-July timeframe. You can kind of aim for that, get everything ready, get everything packaged. If you're doing products or services around that, get them ready to go, because then you'll be ready kind of as soon as they hit GA. So kind of well done, thanks to Matt for kind of picking this up. It's really interesting. I don't think this is kind of Microsoft being deliberately super secretive. It's just the way the communication stuff comes out. These things end up being a bit buried sometimes. I don't think it's intentional at all. I think it's just the way it happens. And it's people like Matt going through these kind of GitHub issues, looking for the things, kind of working out what's happening and piecing it together. And I do a bit of it, others do a bit of it, and together we kind of hopefully can kind of piece it all together to kind of figure out what's going on, and then turn that into useful advice, such as in this case where that useful advice is, if you want to use the calling APIs in GA, aim for the middle of the year, because they're coming soon. So useful kind of post for Matt. So thanks to Matt for that one. So that's kind of an update on the calling APIs in Teams. We know the kind of stuff from Build, we know what's being worked on at the moment, and it kind of feels like the team are heads down in that, and we'll kind of wait for further announcements as they come. But something like Build is also always useful to kind of take a step back from just our little part of the world of Teams development, and kind of zoom out a little bit to what the rest of Microsoft is doing, because all these different parts have interplays between each other. One such part that might be interesting is a Microsoft research project, and these things tend to come up at things like Build and Ignite, where it's a big showcase of Microsoft technology. So this is your chance to kind of find all the interesting things that are happening across the Microsoft space, and figure out what is interesting and what is worth keeping an eye on. And last week I spoke a little bit about Fluid as a new thing to keep your eye on. I'm going to tell you about something else that's worth keeping your eye on as well, which is a research project called Project Denmark. Now, Mary Jo Foley has done a really good write-up of this on ZDNet. You can get to that by going to allaboutmicrosoft.com. Now, this is a Microsoft research project, and it's specific technology to kind of imagine multiple microphones that are capable of figuring out who is talking. So like you have in a Skype or a Teams meeting, you have the active speaker. Imagine that, but when everybody is clustered around a table, or you've got a mix of people, some online, some in person, and you want to highlight in your transcription, or you want to highlight to other people who are remote who the active speaker is. That's really hard to do today, and it requires, you know, artificial intelligence technology to figure out who is speaking. Now, the interesting part about this, so this was showed off at Build as, you know, this is some smart meeting stuff we're doing. It's conversation transcription capabilities, and not only is it real-time capability of doing transcription, which we know is coming into Teams, and we saw some of that at Build, but also it's multi-user, it's automatic speaker recognition and attribution. So that's really interesting. So even with crosstalk, even with arguments, stuff like that, you know, this technology that Microsoft have now as part of the Azure speech service is good at figuring out who is talking. The interesting part, though, that wasn't necessarily so much covered in the spotlight, but is really worth digging into, is that as part of this research project, actually it's not being delivered with like custom precision built microphone arrays or anything like that. They're kind of passive. It's using existing microphones that you might have in your mobile phone, in your laptop, in your room, just the microphones you've got already. They all subscribe to like a cloud service thing, and then based on that forms a virtual microphone array that this Project Denmark thing can then use to do speaker attribution. So that's super smart and really interesting, because all these things, things like speaker attribution are great, but if they've got a really high entry point, they're not useful to lots of people. You know, if it requires a multi-$1,000 investment in room setup and microphone arrays, then yep, there are going to be companies that buy into that, and there are going to be people that benefit, but it's not going to be me, and it's probably not going to be you. If it's something that we can use our mobile phones and our laptop speakers or an existing room system, actually maybe we all will benefit from that, and that's huge. And that's the sort of thing Microsoft are trying to do, is kind of using existing technology, using it smarter, using the power of the cloud to bring these things together. So that, there's no mention of that coming to Teams or anything like that. You know, the two are not related at all, but this is Microsoft working on meeting room solutions and smart working, and it is entirely natural that when they fix it and figure it out and crack it and make it something useful and productizable, for sure, why not bring it into Teams? So this is how we can get a kind of an early glimpse on what might be coming to Teams by looking at these research projects. And this was one that kind of jumped out at me and I thought would be interesting, and I think, you know, if it's got legs and it goes places, absolutely, I think we will see it coming into Teams, because why wouldn't you? You know, why wouldn't you would want to have speaker attribution alongside your transcription? Of course you would. And Microsoft knows that lots of meetings are mixed. There are people in the room, but there are also people remote. So I think if they can figure out this technology, and if it comes to fruition, I definitely think we'll see it in Teams in the future. All right, that is everything from me. I'm off to enjoy the rest of my weekend. I hope that you are enjoying your weekend too, and I will speak to you again next week.